Hey guys, welcome to the MTB Garage. My name is Sean. In today's video, we're going to be reviewing one of the best budget-friendly e-mountain bikes, the Giant Talon E Plus 29.3. Before we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified about future content. If you want to support the channel, head over to the MTB Garage merch store, pick yourself up a t-shirt. It really helps us to put out more awesome MTB content. So this week we have another bike review on our hands. We're going to be taking a look at the Giant Talon E Plus 29.3. Now, I know what you're thinking, isn't this the MTB Garage, not the E-MTB Garage? Well, personally, I believe that electric mountain bikes are in fact mountain bikes, and I really think that MTB riders and E-MTB riders can coexist. I really enjoy riding both acoustic and electric bikes, and we have some great e-bike content planned for the future, so stay tuned for that. With that bit out of the way, let's take a look at this Giant Talon e-bike. So the Giant Talon E Plus 29.3 is Giant's take on the budget-friendly, entry-level electric mountain bike. This is the most affordable E-MTB that they make, and the MSRP comes in at a very reasonable $2,600. With the prices of some e-bike models reaching $10,000 or more these days, the $2,600 price tag on this bike makes E-MTB a lot more accessible for the average rider. So how did Giant pack an entire e-bike into such a small price? Well, for starters, you can tell that this bike is a hardtail, so they were able to cut costs by ditching the rear suspension. Now, most mountain bikers would agree that full suspension mountain bikes are better for most applications, but in this case, I think the lack of rear suspension adds a level of simplicity and versatility to this bike, which I'll talk more about later. And another way they were able to bring down the cost is with an entry-level component spec. This Talon comes stock with a 1x9-speed Shimano drivetrain, a basic coil-sprung fork, and you will find the Giant brand logo on everything from the bars and stem to the wheels, hubs, and saddle. Stopping power comes from a set of Tektro brakes, and the rubber meets the road with some Maxxis Recon 29x2.4 tires. Now for the money, this bike actually comes with a pretty well-rounded component spec. I do believe though that the weak link here is going to be the drivetrain. This is a 1x9 system with an 11 to 36 tooth cassette in the back, so it doesn't have a ton of gear range. If you were getting this bike and planning to do some upgrades right off the bat, I would say the drivetrain should be the first thing to go. Now, while we're going over the component spec here, I think it's also important to talk about the motor unit and battery. This bike comes stock with Yamaha's Sync Drive Core motor, which puts out 50 Newton meters of torque. Now, this is actually a smaller motor unit than what you'll find on some of Giant's higher-end e-bikes. For example, their Trance X29 e-bike comes with Yamaha's Sync Drive Pro motor, which puts out 80 Newton meters of torque. So this bike's not going to be super zippy, but because the motor unit is smaller and takes up less power, they can make the battery smaller as well, and that just brings down the overall weight of the bike. So now it's time to gear up and hit the trails to see what this bike can really do. To put it simply, the Giant Talon E is great at climbing. The assistance from the motor feels smooth and natural, the frame geometry puts you into an upright and comfortable position, and the lack of rear suspension means that there is no energy lost from rider input when you point the bike uphill. While climbing can be a breeze on this bike, the small range cassette and lower power motor made me have to work a little harder than expected when things got really steep. I'll give it a 4 out of 5 for climbing. Descending on the Talon felt surprisingly smooth and stable. Don't get me wrong, you won't be winning any downhill races on this thing, but I had plenty of confidence to really enjoy a few flowy downhill trails without being too sketchy. I think that the 29x2.4 inch tires are what really help keep this bike planted through gnarlier terrain. Now earlier in this video I mentioned that this bike is really versatile. What I meant by that is that this E-MTB is really many bikes in one. It felt right at home cruising down paved bike paths just as much as it was confident when descending. I believe that what makes this bike really great is the fact that you can use it for so many different applications. If I needed it for more casual bike path rides, all I need to do is put some fast rolling tires and a comfortable saddle on it, and I'm good to go. What I really want from this bike though is to shred some local trails. So let's head back over to the garage and see if we can upgrade a few parts to make this thing more of a trail bike. Alright, so we've made it back to the garage, and in order to make this bike better suited for trail riding, we're going to be installing wider bars, a shorter stem. I've got a 12-speed NX drivetrain here, a dropper post, as well as a new saddle. With just a few simple upgrades, this Giant Talon E felt way more at home shredding trails. The 11 to 50 tooth gear range allowed me to climb up any hill with ease, and the wider bars and dropper post helped this bike descend with even more speed and confidence. All in all, I really enjoyed riding this bike, and I'm super excited to have more e-bike adventures on it. The Giant Talon E Plus 29.3 is the perfect option for anyone looking to get into E-MTB without breaking the bank. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned a thing or two. If you dig the channel, make sure to subscribe to keep up to date on new content. Thanks for watching, and hey, let's ride again next week.